play this game, this deck a little bit more. I really do. It kind of sucks because I think this is a really solid ladder deck too. I'm too tired to play. I might just take the round 1 loss for a nap. It's honestly, it's probably worth it. Like that could be plus EV for the tournament. Just get the nap in. I mean, it's Swiss, right? So you can just lose round 1 and then just be like on easy street losers bracket. You just like hit weak players all the way and you're good, right? Like you're napped up, you're fresh. Unironically, that can actually increase your win rate probably. So this is spiders. In spiders, it's very simple. You just want to play to stabilize.
And got
Nothing
excited
else.
and was faced with pure disappointment.
Demos. Yeah. Yeah. That actually, I can certainly see how that might excite someone.
Reporting in.
Still holding out for that artifact update, huh?
I'll do better this time.
I'm interested in seeing what they do for sure. Okay, so again, our only objective really is to stabilize here. I mean, Grenadier is gonna not get an attack in against like a lot of 2-drops. Whereas like Boomker Rookie is alright. It's gonna be a decent blocker against like other 1-drops like Saboteur. This guy's memeing. Now this, I was actually talking about this card yesterday. You could actually run this with Affectionate Poro, and it's actually not that bad. Cam is blurry. Yeah, it's doing some weird autofocus thing. Let me fix that real quick, thanks. I tried Fiddle Core, but the game is so rough it's unplayable. Yeah, it's really early stages. I mean, like I said, it's hard to compare it to games that you're familiar with, because the game is, I think it's what most people would call like an alpha stage. It's like I've seen a lot of the plans they have for it, but they're basically just want to get people like trying the game like super early to help effectively direct the design. But yeah, I mean it's an extremely rough game.
Maybe you need it closer.
For sure. I mean, I guess I can just do this. It doesn't really matter. It's like attack. Attack is never really going to make much of a difference. I guess this is fine. I mean, honestly, if we're just looking to stabilize and maximize our damage output for removal, I should probably just block this, right? If anything. Because now, I mean, I can still kill this with Mystic Shot, but my Blade's Edge can get it through on the Trifarian. And I'm not really dealing 4 all at once. The Trifarian can't block, though. It's true that the Trifarian can't block. I don't know how relevant that is. I like how your hand is optimized for Sejuani level up. He's running Shadow Isles. He could be on Glimpse. Maybe I should have just Blade's Edged there.
I have the best job.
Let's see what he does here. If he like taps out, I'm pretty happy to take a Mystic Shot. I'm also kind of letting him get a sort of decent card favorite. It's not a good card favorite, but it's definitely sort of decent. This could easily be a Glimpse. But the 5-2 is preventing our attack. That's true, but the attack will basically never matter. That's the thing. He's losing 2 health. We've got the Get Excited. We're not the aggressor in this matchup, right? It's never about the attack. The Boomker Rookie dealing 2 damage will never matter. I don't expect to be in like a race position. We've got the ability to stabilize over burn. And that's where the flexibility of this deck comes in. In a normal burn deck, this would be a situation where I'd have to try to race him down. But I have a hand where I think I can basically just chill, right? So, I mean, we'll do something like this. This is a bit of a commitment. I could definitely see some big punish coming through. It's like something like Transfusion would be really huge. So we're gonna have to do some safety blockers just in case. I think the Boom Crew is a decent blocker just to like stay alive and block again. Whereas, I mean, the real safety blocker would probably be against the Trifarian, just so we don't take like a ridiculous amount of damage. Because this thing has Overwhelm anyway, so if he's able to keep it alive, it's probably better to try to kill this. It's pretty close. It's definitely running Mark. Yeah, I wouldn't say definitely. I mean, not all like aggro Shadow Isles decks are running Mark. Notably, like the Noxus version is the one that can get out of it, and he's in the Basilisk Rider Allegiance. I would actually say it's really low odds of running Mark. But I mean, even if it could run Mark, Like, it's certainly very short of definitely. Okay, so the tournament's going to start in 10 minutes now. We're going to make sure we are all prepped and ready to go. The last tournament, it was a Monokuma one. We kind of like... Oh, it's a Whirling Death, huh? Okay, sure. That's fine. I don't know. I was kind of like burnt out. I brought like a bit of a more try-hard lineup, which is a large part of the reason why I just like dropped the tournament. I was just like slogging through it. I don't know. I kind of like couldn't keep playing the same decks over and over again, but I won't have that problem for this tournament. So yeah, we'll just play to stabilize, I think. I mean, these are the points in the game where you have to be considering what his hand is, what his threats are, and honestly, I kind of have no idea. This is like a really weird position to be in, right? Burnout sucks. Yeah. Yeah, basically. That's the idea. I just wanted to not push myself too far, because I'm definitely a little more burnt out on the game than I should be. Yeah, I mean, we'll always be mana efficient here. We have no use of spell mana in our hand, so we can't really go into spell mana. And we're going to be discarding soon with Augmented anyway. It's a decent draw. Gives us some options. He's not really good on either attack now. Like, his Darius could actually try to open attack. So, you always have to think, what is your opponent likely to have in their hand, right? Super important. Now, he's playing a weird deck, and he's also playing in a weird way, right? So, what does that mean for what he's likely to have in his hand? Well, he could have had something like Transfusion, but we did kind of a Transfusion check last turn, right? Where I think, like, he would have done it over Whirling Death if he had it. So I really don't think he can have something like Transfusion, which his deck, by the way, should be running. Like, Mono Skewed Nox Aggro should be running Transfusion. But it looks like he doesn't have it, which is good. They should not be running Mark, but they're basically the same card in terms of, like, my perspective as the defender, unless they only have 1 mana.
I know you're
So,
thinking and stuff,
if we
but could
think
you
he doesn't
maybe
have Transfusion,
speed
that
things
makes
up a little?
Augmented Experimenter probably the most valuable play here. The only problem with Augmented Experimenter is, yeah, basically that. Basically Transfusion. Because we just want to be able to kill things, and we want to make sure Darius doesn't really flip. Now, what are other cards he probably has? He's got a 4-card hand, and he's playing really narrow, right? Like, he's playing like he doesn't have a lot of cards. Most, like, early Swarm cards he would have been a bit more mana efficient about playing. Most tricks, like Transfusion, for value, that's kind of the big one that we have to play around. He would have played already. So what could he have? Well, the answer is Decimate. There's a good chance he's on a Decimate right now. Maybe 2. Or maybe double Darius, and Dariuses represent more Decimates. And that's pretty scary. That's pretty frightening, because that means that this Darius attacks for 7. You know, we can take like a pretty straightforward block. You know, we can block something like this. This will minimize the damage that we take. The Darius won't flip, which is pretty important. And it sets us up for like a decent pressure attack as well. So Might is gonna have the Darius flip, and that's pretty much the scary thing here. It's part of the reason we have to block with Ezreal, make sure we don't lose too much damage. This, I don't expect this Darius is gonna get another attack through either way, but the fact that we're at 9 is nice. We can beat weird hands like Decimate Darius now, just by raising it down. But yeah, how you're always gonna beat aggro is just like outvaluing and stabilizing, right? We actually, if we like slow play this, we might not have enough time, because the tournament starts in 5 minutes from now. Why block with Ezreal? Because we want to maintain the defensive position. The only thing that matters against aggro is stabilizing, right? Like, you don't really have to play it like a raised position. So he takes a Reckoning. That's quite interesting. That's definitely a card that I didn't really put him on having. He could easily have second Reckoning. I think he played that off the top. And Reckoning's going to be decently valuable here. Like, we don't have good counter options to this. We can't... You can fizzle Reckoning by killing the thing, but obviously we can't kill Darius during this stack. We'll kill him afterwards.
Call the weak.
So the scare card is going to be something like second Darius. The problem with secondary is we don't really have an answer to it. So yeah, Reckoning might be decent there. I mean, it just comes down to whether he's got another answer. All we're trying to do is stabilize, right? Like, all we're trying to do is run him out of resources. But if he has a second Darius, that's something that we can't really run out of resources.
Time for a true display of skill.
Cut him down.
So here's a weird question. Are we okay losing to Decimate as a card? Tourney, delay 15 minutes, slow play to your heart's content. Oh, I love delays. That's great. So if we take a block here, we're losing to Decimate. Decimate's an extremely likely card that he could have here. So I think I literally can't do that. I think I can easily beat Decimate if I just play for like efficiency. It's kind of interesting. I mean, honestly, it just comes down to our top decks. Can we out top deck him and beat a Decimate? I'm not actually sure if we can.
I know you're
It's so likely his card is Decimate. It could be a second Reckoning. Would you attack here on the second Reckoning? It's so likely his card is Decimate.
Meat gauntlet.
So the question is, if we think he has Decimate, then it's a good idea to do this, which will give us a chance to win the game off the top decks. If we think that it's not Decimate, something that's going to be... Yeah, I guess it's like Might 2 is the play around, because Might also, you have to counter it in the same way. If it's not Decimate, then the play is to basically not trust your top decks. So the decision you're weighing is like Decimate / Might versus trusting your top decks, right? Because you have to choose. If you play around them, that means you have to sacrifice Ezreal and just trust your top decks to get there. Which can be kind of a difficult thing, but the problem with aggro is it can run out of steam, and you're usually weak to top decks, right? Wow. House Spider, Jesus. I mean, I kind of have to do this and force him to block with his 1/1. We've got some attacks here. The 1/1 has to block, pretty much. Honestly, you could actually make an argument to not block with the 1/1 there. I mean, he's looking for a top deck that will basically just be able to over the top. That's like Decimate or Might, basically. We top deck Roman, probably the worst card we have there. Battlecaster will get in a total of 2 damage against this if he doesn't all attack. And that just, I mean, we're just back on top decks again, right? I can take 1 extra point of damage and kill the Battlecaster instead of the House Spider, but I don't think that can really be worth it, because Battlecaster at most can represent just that same 1 point of damage. I mean, we're looking for most things. Like, Mystic is often good even. Grenadier is usually good. Is Grenadier usually good? He's Shene mode. Didn't he Shene mode before he saw his card? Instead of stacking face, static Battlecaster, and then Mystic Shot gets 1 more damage onto Nexus.
No one's the wiser.
Static Battlecaster? But then the Battlecaster doesn't die, right? Because he has 2 health. I mean, I have no choice but to attack with Grenadier and then hope he draws a Mushroom, or that I draw something that deals damage. That's my win condition here. We're on the Mushroom out. I mean, we've got 2 draws for a Mystic Shot. We've got 1 draw for a Get Excited. He's got 1 draw for a Mushroom. And there's even some weird draws. Blade's Edge wins, Static Shock wins. There's some weird draws that can sometimes like stabilize the Saboteur. Is there actually anything in my deck that could do that? That could stabilize the Saboteur? I mean, that would be quite tricky. I don't actually even know if there's anything there. This was a very, very, very strange game, guys. I will say though, I think that the logic in this game is really important, which is that against aggro, you shouldn't really be playing to do your own game plan. you should be playing to stop the opponent's game plan from happening, right? And we saw that as early as, like, you know, sacrificing Ezreal on blocks. We sacrificed Ezreal's a couple of times. And a couple of those calls were actually, like, pretty close in those specific cases. But that's, like, the main way you want to play against aggro. And that's why this deck is better than a normal burn deck, because it's flexible. And that flexibility is really, really valuable. Because you can play as an Ezreal deck when you need to play as an Ezreal deck, which is, this is how an Ezreal deck would play that matchup, right? Just stabilize. You would sacrifice Ezreal as, like, in that matchup if you were playing a normal Ezreal deck too. But you will play certain matchups like Burn if you need to play that matchup like Burn. Like Karma Ezreal. Like against Karma Ezreal, you would never level your Ezreal and you're always just damaging face. And against like an aggro, you play it like Ezreal where you just stabilize and sacrifice, which is something that Burn usually can't do. Usually Burn into another aggro mirror has to take a race. And erases are kind of like coin flips. They're not